just shampooing my hair when they called. You know, they were starting to clean the chickens.
Yeah.
So
I called you at a bedtime.
yeah. And Angie says, well, I'll wait. I said, well, give me a half an hour to put my hair up and I'll be there.
Any Polish tricks with this recipe, or?
Josephine, they want to know your secret recipe.
You put vinegar, oil, pepper, sage, poultry seasoning. Let it cool, and put your beaten egg yolks, the whole eggs beaten in. Stir it up good. Let it stand for the night. And the next day you will paste the chicken with it. Turn it, paste it again, and you lick your fingers. It's delicious.
Licking fingers.
Buffalo resident Josephine was a member of St. Adalbert's Parish, as seen here in Les Blank's 1984 documentary, In Heaven There Is No Beer, which chronicled the polka scene at that time nationally. St. Adalbert's was built in 1890. In 1907, it was granted basilica status by the Vatican. A little over 100 years later, the Vatican closed the church. The final Mass was held in 2011. The lawn fetes at St. Adalbert's were legendary and held regularly for decades. When I first came across this scene in the documentary, I was utterly confused. I could not understand, is this a legitimate regional specialty that I've never heard of, or is this poor woman out of her skull? Because this didn't make any sense to me. But how do you search for the existence of something when you don't even know its name? So I sat there plugging these ingredients into Google for what seemed like hours, digging and digging, and eventually I hit pay dirt. Turns out that what Josephine is describing is more commonly known as Cornell chicken. Named for the university just a couple of hours from Buffalo, upstate New York resident Robert C. Baker graduated from the Ivy League school in 1943. In between inventing the chicken nugget, and no, that is not hyperbole, he came up with this concoction. His research was published in Cornell Information Bulletin 862, Barbecued Chicken and Other Meats. This is not a marinade or a brine, it is a sauce to be applied to grilled meats after they are already partially cooked over coal. The bulletin also described how to build grills out of bricks and the proportions to make enough sauce for up to 300 people, which is measured by the pail. Dr. Baker passed away in 2006. After operating a booth at the New York State Fair for over 70 years, the family finally called it quits in 2021. The portion at Baker's chicken coop was always a half chicken of the broiler size with a side of salt potatoes. So even though Central New Yorkers will keep this sauce alive in their backyards for eons to come, upon Josephine's recommendation, I intend to make it myself here today. With the help of some Rochester beer, and some Buffalo polka from my personal record collection. It's time to get things together. Let's get in the kitchen and put together some Cornell chicken.
Here we go with another tune that's going to feature Larry on the vocal one called The Boys from Chicago. Here we go, Boys from Chicago.
Chicago są ładne zgrabne panienki. Chłopcy w Chicago tylko są zgrabne kobietki. Chłopcy w Chicago tylko są zgrabne kobietki. Pili się pili, sobotę wieczór do rana. Przy każdym jedna dziewczyna jedna płakała. Przy każdym jedna dziewczyna jedna płakała. Płacz dziewczyno, droga jedyno, nie smutnie. Stoi tam winko na pisie. Stoi tam winko na pisie. Winka nie pije, piwka nie lubię, głośniej jest. Przy ciebie jedna dziewczyna biedna, piwka jest. Przez ciebie jedna dziewczyna biedna, piwka jest.
Let's get involved. Syracuse salt potatoes. Amazingly not salty, despite a half pound of salt that went into the pot, something like that. Absolutely beautiful. So allegedly, the salt content allows the water to boil at a higher temperature, which cooks the potato differently in a way that it wouldn't cook normally. But that's not why we're here. Cornell chicken, a la Dr. Robert Baker. I mean, look at the color on that. It's beautiful. It's just a vehicle for salt. I suppose a poultry seasoning is one of the notes on the cord there, but the egg and the oil, you know, the vinegar, I don't know that I detect it per se. That's a substantial amount of vinegar. It's a vehicle to attach salt to the chicken. There's really no other way around it. I always think you should cook, you know, whole chicken and bone in pieces of chicken in the oven with some kind of a rack so it doesn't sit in its own juices. It's especially relevant today when you're just mopping it again and again. I must have basted it maybe 5 times. There's a real puddle in the bottom of the tray. If I didn't have a rack, it would have sat in that and boiled and been a whole nother ball game. Gotta have the buttered roll. Let's give this white meat a try. I did probe this with the thermometer numerous times towards the end. That's very juicy, but very fully cooked, not a millimeter of pink. If someone served me this, I would probably just say, that's a damn fine roast chicken. I don't know that I would say, what the hell did you do? How did you get it seasoned so well? I would just attribute it to some mystery. They did a good job. They tried really hard. I don't know. But knowing what I did and now eating it, it is exceptional. Shout out to my people in upstate New York, keeping the Cornell chicken and the Syracuse salt potatoes alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for the Nickel City's finest band, the fabulous Dynatones.
I raise my Jenny to you. Thanks for watching. Cheers.